Good morning, this is Julie, and welcome back to my channel. Um, I recently talked to someone who watched one of my videos, and um, I was asked, how did I have the strength to tell someone what happened with my grandfather when I was molested? And so I wanted to answer that question because I think that may be a question that many people may have, um, especially if you're in this situation or um, it's happened to you. So let me just say this. All of my life growing up, my mother would always say to me, if anyone does anything to you, you tell me. She said, I don't care who it is, even if it's your father. Not that he was doing anything to me, but she was just letting me know that in no certain terms that it was not okay for anyone to do anything to me that was inappropriate, and that I could trust her to be able to talk to her and that she would protect me. And let me say this, when we were younger, my mother she's a very feisty woman, and she does not play when it comes to her children. Um, you know, and I guess all my life growing up, I saw that from her, that it didn't matter who it was, whether it was, um, adults, other, if I came and told her that someone was doing something to me, not even necessarily inappropriate, she would get on them, if it was family or teachers at school, because really that was kind of just my limited exposure at that time. So I was 15 when the situation with my grandmother occurred. So, I'm sorry, my grandfather. While it was happening, I was running away from him, and he basically was chasing me all over the house. At one point, I was able to get away for the second time, and I locked my stuff in a room, and there was a phone in there. So I knew my mother was at work, and I called her, and I told her what was happening. And I don't want to say she was in disbelief, but she was shocked because she asked me again when I told her what was going on. And then she said, I'm on my way. And it was maybe a minute conversation. And then, I stayed in that room. He kept knocking on the door, telling me to open the door. And he was just banging on the door, trying to, get me to come out. I didn't come out until my mother, she shows up. And, the whole time, like before my mother came, I think he knew that I called her because I'm sure he heard me, but he just kept saying it was okay. He was sorry. He just thought I was ready. And, in my mind, I was like, what? Just ready to have sex with my grandfather? Are you serious? And she showed up. I left out the room. I went and opened the door. She showed up with the police to his house. He ran in the bathroom. My mother chased him, and she was trying to fight him. So I remember the police officer pulling me out of the apartment and, telling me to sit outside on the stairs, and then her going in after my mother, and, telling her that, to let them handle this. So my mom came outside. I was really emotional at the time, but I think I was so in shock. I really couldn't talk much. I was really upset. She was crying when she came outside because she was so angry. And I think, anytime, I would see my mother cry, it would just really, kind of break me down. So she just kept apologizing and saying she was sorry. And I was like, there was nothing for her to apologize for. And I think, in that moment, even though I always knew that my mother was protective of us, watching her and seeing that, one, she brought the police with her, it wasn't a game. That meant that she wanted him to go to jail. And two, the fact that she tried to fight her own father in front of the police, which she could have gotten an assault charge for, but he wouldn't come out of the bathroom. So, you know, it was just, I guess it solidified for me, you know, that I knew that there wasn't nothing that she wouldn't do for, you know, to protect, you know, me or my siblings. So, but I already always knew that, or I don't think I would have called her. You know, he was never, he was an alcoholic, you know, all of the time that he was alive that I knew him. And, he was like, we talked, so it wasn't like, you know, because I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and she kind of always kept me like at a distance from him. Like when I was there, she would want me with her, and him and I never spent any alone time together, like never. So that's just kind of what made the whole situation alarming for me. You know, I don't even remember hugging him much. You know, when you come in and you greet someone and you hug them, I don't ever even remember me hugging him too much, you know. So when all this was happening, like, it made me feel very bad and uncomfortable, and like confused, and I was upset and I was hurt, you know. And so, you know, we immediately left. I think they while my mother was outside, they talked to him, and I don't know what he said to them, because they didn't bring him to the jail. Like, I got in the car with my mother and we left, and we went to the police station immediately from my grandparents' house. And at the time, I'm 46, so the laws for you had to have actual penetration in order for them to do something at the time. The laws are not the way that they are now. So because I was able to fight him off and keep him from doing at least that, there honestly wasn't nothing that they could do. I remember, I guess, she had called my brother because my father was at work. My mother was at work when I called her as well, but she was a cosmetologist and she worked at a salon, so she was able to leave. And I don't know how my oldest brother, he found out, but he came up to the police station, and he was very angry and upset, and he wanted to go fight my grandfather. And I remember them just taking a statement from me. You know, I was, you know, trying to get my brother to calm down because he was so angry. I remember us leaving and my brother staying there. They kind of wanted to keep him to get him to calm down because they didn't want him to go do anything to my grandfather. And, you know, I think he came home a little later when we went home. And I kind of don't remember anything after that. Like, I was just kind of, I think for about a week and a half, maybe two, like I was just kind of on autopilot, kind of in a daze. My mother would frequently check on me and make sure I was okay. When I was not at school, you know, she would ask me, did I want to come to work with her? And, you know, she was very, very supportive, you know, during the whole situation. And I remember that day when my dad came home from work, we told him what happened. And my dad looks at me, and then he just got up and walked out. Like, he didn't say anything. He wasn't, he's very non-emotional. But I remember that really hurt me at the time because there was no reaction. There was no words. He didn't comfort me or console me at all. And I think that hurt me, you know, as well, because I expected him, I guess, to have the same reaction my mother did and that my brother did. And him and I have talked about this since. You know, I told him that, you know, I needed him to be a little bit more supportive during that time, you know, and he apologized, and, you know, we've moved forward from that. But as I said before, I just think that, you know, me having the courage to do that was because I had a foundation of knowing that, you know, my mother would never let anyone do anything to us. And she is what gave me the courage to, and I'm thankful for that, to be able to call her, depend on her, for her to show up and superwoman the situation, you know, and be there for me. And then her just following through with going to the police. It didn't matter that it was her father. She was doing everything in her power to make sure that I was protected and that he was punished, but nothing ever happened to him, you know, behind that situation at all. He never went to jail. I think they went and took a statement from him, and of course he denied it, and he said I was lying. So that's what happened. But if you have any more questions about the situation, you know, feel free to ask me. And you know, my grandmother, she wasn't there. She had left and went to work. She worked and she would go to work early in the morning. So like, this happened after she left. She was not in the house, because I know this, it would have never happened with her in the house. And I just wanted to make that clear. But thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you have any more questions, just let me know. I'm going to end the video right here. So if you feel like no one cares, I do. Go out and be a good person today and make someone smile.